My cousin sent me unsolicited photos in his birthday suit, so I sent them to the family group chat. Here's what happened. Subscribe to AmITheA on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. Kyle, 22-year-old male, is a distant relative. Actually, he's my 19-year-old female stepdad's cousin's kid. I've never really been around him much, though. Just the odd family get-together. We hadn't seen each other for a while, but we did at a wedding a few months ago. He got drunk and kept hitting on me, saying how hot I was, and how he'd love to get to know me better. I rolled my eyes and kept trying to get away from him, but he kept following me throughout the day. Later on, he got someone to give him my number and he kept on messaging me. I complained to my stepdad, who shrugged it off. Some people even thought it was cute or funny, which just encouraged him to act more outrageous. A few days later, he started sending me some inappropriate text messages along with photos in his birthday suit. What's worse, people who were at the wedding would tease me like it was some grand joke. About a month or two later, I finally had enough. I sent everyone who had mocked me some of the photos that he'd been sending me. The family making fun of me and Kyle in the group chat got a photo. The aunt who thought we would make a cute couple got a photo. His parents, who had raised him to be this crappy person, got a photo, plus some of the texts. My stepdad even received a printed picture on his pillow. I've had a few family members telling me off how gross it was sending them the photos, and how I invaded his privacy, although the younger generation of cousins has taken to posting memes about him, such as when there's a family reunion and you can't decide which of your cousins to bang, or edited versions of his pictures such as a small leaf covering his bits. Edit. I tried blocking him, but he keeps creating fake accounts and contacting me on different areas of social media. I've already told him off for hitting on me, only to receive a photo of him saying, "Bet if you could taste this, you'd like it." I was just fed up with the mocking. The messages from people making fun of me and him hitting on me. It was tiring. I began to dread the phone message sounds, to the point where I turned the phone off and went walking around for the day without it. I know it sounds extreme to send these photos to everyone, but it shut them up about how we should go out and how I should give Kyle a chance. Edit 2. Yes, Kyle has finally stopped sending me photos. My cousins found out about it and started making fun of him. My stepbrother changed his ringtone and his morning alarm to Sweet Home Alabama, and keeps saying, "What are you doing, stepbro?" just to annoy him. Kyle did have a rant on my voicemail saying that I'd ruined him and how much of a jerk I was. I mean, when your entire family is encouraging this behavior, that's kinda messed up. I feel like they weren't really understanding the extent to which this was getting gross. Only when they saw the proof in front of them did they finally realize that this was just harassment and not cute in any way. I mean, you tried to address it straight up and no one wanted to listen to you. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't really leave you much other choice. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode, also linked below. And don't forget to subscribe. Jerk stops me from doing my job, not realizing that I'm here to help him. So I work at a small garden center and we have a system where if the queue's getting too long, the person on till calls on the radio to open another till. Basically means that staff can be doing other things when there aren't enough customers to justify having 2 or 3 or 4 tills open. I'm sure you can guess where this is going already. Over the last week or so, it's been absolutely baking by UK standards. And to top it off, our till area is what used to be the main greenhouse before the site got expanded. It's an old greenhouse with little airflow, scorching weather, and it was hot as heck in there. This was causing a combination of angry customers and exhausted staff. And to top it off, our uniform is more what you'd call guidelines than an actual uniform. Navy polo, toe-capped boots, and you're good to go. So when I get the call for a second till, there's about 3 or 4 groups in the queue. And I go to walk past the queue with some sweets in my water bottle to get to the tills. Until a 6-foot rugby player looking type at the back of the queue puts his arms out to stop me. What follows went something a little like this. "Oi, mate, don't you know what a queue is?" But I'm, "No buts, you don't get to skip." I'm just going, "I don't care. You wait like the rest of us." At this point, with this guy getting pretty angry and turning a very deep shade of crimson, I look at the till with an exasperated look, catch my colleague's eye, and go, "Fine then," and wait. It was too hot to argue over this, and I wasn't going to risk this getting physical. My colleague, with a knowing smile, picks up her radio and says, "Can I have another till, please? I don't think original poster can make it." No one arrives, probably due to a combination of radio issues, brakes colliding, and not my problem. So we wait. Only takes about 5 minutes to get to the front of the line. But Angry Dude is getting redder by the second. So he goes up to be served with a loud, "Finally!" I'm now in the front of the queue. I go up to my till, log in, and call out, "Can I help anyone on this side?" There was a loud, "Are you screwing with me?" from Angry Dude, but my colleague was quick to loudly point out that I did try and explain several times, that he got very aggressive with me for doing so, and was honestly lucky we were serving him at all. He decided to just leave rather than embarrass himself any further, left his purchases on the desk, and just left. I'm glad I didn't get in trouble, but it was fun messing with that jerk. Yeah, at a certain point, I'm just gonna step back as well. If you're gonna be a jerk about it, I'm not gonna rush to help you or bother to try and explain. I mean, our original poster did try and you chose to be arrogant about it. Don't be turning around and getting ticked off at him when you screwed everyone out of getting out of there a little bit earlier. At least this jerk knew when to walk away instead of escalating the situation. Cause sometimes they don't like to admit that they're embarrassed and would rather just try and punch you in the face instead. My coworkers refused to do even the simplest task to make my job easier, so I smashed up their van. Years ago, I worked for a high-end contracting company. It was a small business, about 10 people total, including the 3 owners. 2 were brothers and were in charge of large renovations, and the third was in charge of all the custom cabinetry and high-end furniture we made in the shop. He was my direct boss. I only ever interacted with the brothers occasionally, normally in meetings and afternoons when they would come to pick up and drop off tools in the cargo van. Part of my shop duties every day included cleaning up their tools and putting them away, and I can't leave until it's done. Now, the brothers had a bad habit of never washing the mixing stick for cement. Every day it would come back caked in dried concrete that I'd have to spend an hour breaking off. I'd asked them several times to wash it down with a hose after they'd used it, but was always met with, "Oh yeah, we'll remember next time." After a few months of this, I was getting pretty frustrated. One extremely hot summer day, I was sitting on the dock of the shop waiting for them. I was caked in sweat and sawdust from making cabinets all day and was in a bad mood. They pull up and we start unloading. Lo and behold, they hadn't cleaned the stick again. The base of it was practically a complete ball. I say, "Seriously, guys, what the heck?" "Oh, yeah, sorry." "How hard is it to wash it off? I've asked for months." "It's your job to clean it, just clean it." I thought, you know what, I will. I lifted it up, brought my arm back, and swung it as hard as I could at the side door of the cargo van. The sound of denting metal was huge. Most of the concrete blasted off it. I handed the stick back to the flabbergasted brother and said, "There, I cleaned it," before walking back into the shop. Both brothers wanted to fire me but couldn't. The third guy was my boss and refused. He told me a month later that every time he saw the dent, he laughed. They always brought it back clean afterwards. You're really lucky you didn't get in trouble for that. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this van was already pretty beat up if you felt comfortable taking a swing at it. But either way, that's a pretty brave move. You're lucky your direct boss was willing to stand up for you, cause a lot of people would not put up with that. Mind you, these guys kinda had it coming. You'd asked many times nicely. You had to get their attention somehow. My husband thinks I'm a Karen for demanding my daughter's school give me back her phone. My kids attend a year-round school and started back for the new term 2 weeks ago. My eldest, 16-year-old female, ended up getting her phone confiscated for using it during class to watch TikTok. We had discussed this before she even got the phone, then had some issues last year. As a last resort, I told her that if it happened again, the phone would become mine, and she'd get an old flip phone that was my husband's with no internet until she could prove trustworthy. The school policies had changed this term from a phone would be confiscated until a parent could come get it to a phone would be kept 2 weeks at a first offense, 3 for the second, and so on and so forth. I wasn't okay with this as I don't trust the school to not lose it. I know they've lost or broken other students' phones. Plus, I don't want them having access to my daughter's private info. I went to the school and requested it back, saying I wouldn't give it to my daughter, but I paid for it. The secretary gave me the spiel and I didn't blame her, but asked to speak with the vice principal. He comes out and repeats what the secretary said. I said, okay, but I'm the parent. I paid for it and I never signed anything giving you permission to hold it. They were refusing, so I said I'd sit in the office until it was given back. I did so, and waited for close to 2 hours. Finally, the principal came out and said I needed to leave. I said if I left, it'd be back with a police escort. At that point, the phone was returned to me. My husband says I Karen'd my way out of it. To me, it's not their property to take. Am I the jerk? You know, this may be a bit of a Karen move, but I'd say all in all, our original poster handled themselves pretty well. They didn't escalate or make a big ruckus or cause a scene. They just sat there quietly in protest. And you know what? I 100% agree with them. It's their property. They paid for it. The school has no right to hold it like that. I understand they have their rules about phones not being allowed to be used in class. But at the end of the day, that is someone's personal property and something that's pretty expensive. And as our original poster pointed out, could have a lot of personal information on there. If it needs to be confiscated, then confiscate it, but you have to give it back at the end of the day, especially if the parent's coming around asking for it. Who are you to deny them their device that they paid a lot of money for? I refuse to pay for my friend's EpiPen. I have a housemate, Jillian, 26-year-old female, who's severely allergic to peanuts. There are 5 of us who rent a house together, and we all agreed to put a label on our food containers to help keep Jillian safe and avoid contamination. I have a mini fridge in my room where I store my drinks, so that I don't have to go to the kitchen if I want a drink in the middle of the night. Well, last Friday, my Filipino girlfriend gave me an authentic Filipino dish for lunch at work. It's called Care. It's an oxtail stew with a rich peanut sauce. It's in a glass container, and I saved some so I could have it for dinner. When I got home, I put it in my mini fridge but forgot to eat it that night because we ordered pizza. Saturday, I went out with my girlfriend and got home around 9 p.m. When I arrived, Jillian's girlfriend, Trish, confronted me, saying that I almost killed Jillian. I didn't know what she was talking about. She went on saying it was irresponsible of me to not label the food in my mini fridge. I asked one of our housemates what the heck happened, and he said Jillian had an allergic reaction to my stew because I didn't put a label on the container. I told them it's inside my personal mini fridge, and how dare they enter my room. Trish said they were looking for beer when they saw my stew. She and another housemate ate it. Jillian only tasted it and went into anaphylactic shock, where they had to use her EpiPen to stop the swelling. Trish then demanded that I need to pay for the EpiPen. I told them that's not gonna happen. If anything, they should apologize to me for trespassing and stealing my food. They called me a jerk. She and 3 housemates said I nearly cost Jillian her life, and the least I could do is apologize and pay for the EpiPen. Am I the jerk? Edit, Jillian was taken to the hospital. No, I never gave anyone any permission to enter my room. They were drinking that time and were looking for more beer. They ate the dish with some rice that they found on top of the mini fridge. I think Jillian ate some rice that had sauce on it. I didn't get to ask the details of exactly what happened. Update, so I visited Jillian in the hospital today and she apologized to me for what happened. It was an accident. She said she didn't eat any of my care, but took some of the rice. She didn't realize that some sauce got on the rice bowl, so there was clearly a cross-contamination. It wasn't her who went in my room. It was Trish and another housemate, Ian. I'll be charging them for the stolen beer and food. I'm definitely buying a lock after this incident. Yeah, it's your personal space and personal property and your personal fridge. I don't see why you're being held accountable for this. I think everyone was just kind of shaken up by what had happened and wanted someone to blame. Unfortunately, that got pointed in your direction. At least Jillian herself is reasonable and understands that this was just an accident and it's not really anyone's fault. Entitled Karen steals a parking spot and immediately gets completely blocked in. I've just witnessed the best petty revenge and was in the middle of it all as it happened. My family and I decided to go to a shopping center today. We get there, park up on the ground floor, which was lucky, and right on the end row of spaces. Even better, when I've got 2 small children to put into the car. It's a prime spot, and the shopping center's getting busy as it starts to spit rain outside. We do our business in the shops and come back. A car turns around the corner in front of us and asks if we're going. We nod and they tuck in front of us, with their hazard lights on to indicate that they're waiting. A woman in a big BMW decides to block the turning, half blocking the exit and half blocking the row of parking. After being beeped at by several cars trying to exit, she makes a half attempt at parking in a space directly opposite us, on the end of the row. We pile everything into the car and go, and I witness the woman pulling into the space seconds later, front first, completely ignoring the car waiting. I hear the guy from the car waiting get out and politely tell her that he was waiting. She doesn't even roll down the window to listen to him, and instead just sits in the car. So instead of causing a fuss or drama, he simply parks his car horizontally in front of her car so she can't go anywhere, gets out, and locks the car to go shopping. I've never seen such petty revenge. Yeah, people like that are the worst, and honestly, she deserves to have to sit there until he's done. She's 100% aware of what she did, and thinks that she can just ignore the problem until it goes away. Well, it looks like you're gonna be waiting a while for that problem to solve itself. This guy didn't even get mad, he just got even. I never would have thought when I woke up this morning that I would be required to use a shopping cart as a vehicle. I'm visiting Austin right now for F1 and have been exposed to the 40,000 people in the crowd for the races. I decided I should get a PCR COVID test to be safe. After checking around, Walgreens was the only place that offered a test, so I booked an appointment for their drive-through testing site and took an Uber from my hotel room since I don't have a car. I assumed that they would give me the test through the window and that would be that. So when the pharmacist told me that I legally needed to have a wheeled vehicle, I asked her if this needed to be a motorized vehicle or not, to which she replied, "It just needs to have full wheels." I walked around to the front, grabbed a shopping cart, put my butt in it, and scooted back towards the window. She was sweet and had a good enough sense of humor to laugh and say, "Okay, I guess that qualifies today," and gave me my test. It made my day. I mean, I gotta give you points for a creative solution. I can't say that's something that I would have thought of. And shout out to the pharmacist for having a good sense of humor and going along with it. People are less likely to give you a hard time when you can make them smile. I kicked my 72-year-old mother-in-law out of the house in the middle of the night. I, 36-year-old female, live with my husband, 41-year-old male. I have a decent relationship with my mother-in-law, compared to a lot of the horror stories I hear from friends. She's quite sweet and warm. She is, however, a little over-controlling, overprotective. I'm not sure of the exact word, but she has very strong ideas about things and no sense of boundaries. For example, when she stays at our house, she takes over the kitchen completely and insists on cooking all our meals. She cooks wonderfully, but won't let me help her at all, and puts everything away in the wrong places, and then insists that her way's more logical. She only really comes for holidays though, and I do like her a lot, so I don't mind putting up with these mild annoyances. I'm currently pregnant with our little girl, who will be born in a few months. This is a miracle. I really didn't think it would happen, especially so late, but we got lucky. When my mother-in-law heard, she was super excited and said she'd come over to help us get ready for the baby. She offered to stay for the next 6 months or so to help out, because my husband and I both work long hours and it'll be hard to handle the baby on top of this. She's also pretty emotionally invested in this, because she truly sees herself as part of our family. She arrived a few days ago and set herself up. Then she started with the cleaning. I like collecting things from garage sales and such. Things like little sculptures and books and baskets. Stuff a lot of other people would consider utter junk. Our house is definitely overstuffed, but it's reasonably tidy and doesn't seem like a hoarder's house or anything. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, likes everything surgically clean. Yesterday, I came home from work to find the house like a war zone. She went through my cabinets and cleared out everything that she considered junk, and had apparently made several trips to Goodwill before I got home. I was really angry and asked her why she would ever do this. She said the house had to be tidy for the baby and that it would be dangerous for the baby to be in my cluttered house. Then she took the next huge bag of stuff and tried to walk out the door. I kind of lost it, and I told her she could get out right now. She was shocked that I was so serious, and she said that she doesn't have anywhere to go and that it was so late. It was about 9:30. I booked her a hotel room and called a taxi. My husband came home an hour later, and when I told him what happened, he was furious with me. He said I disrespected his mom and was ungrateful for everything she's trying to do for us. Am I the jerk? No, your mother-in-law needs to learn what boundaries are. This is your house and your belongings. She doesn't have any right to just go through and start getting rid of stuff. If she wants to have that conversation about maybe cleaning stuff up, then you have that conversation. You don't just take it upon yourself to start throwing other people's things away. Honestly, I'm getting very strong Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond vibes. She might have good intentions, but she doesn't go about things the right way. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.